Hi, I'm Nate. I brew kombucha. This is my kombucha collection here. Today we're going to do the second ferment with all of these Grouch bottles. There's definitely not enough for the amount of kombucha that I have, but it should work. I hope it will. We're going to do ginger, we're going to do cranberry lemonade, and we're going to do lemon ginger echinacea. We'll see how it goes. We just got all of these from Whole Foods. My vote is Pyrex bowls. You need a large bowl. They've got a giant 4-quart bowl. So what you do is you take all of the SCOBY, or all of the mothers, or whatever you want to call them, out of the top of your kombucha ferments. You put them in the bowl. And then what I do is I just fill it filled with a little bit of each of the mixtures so that there's enough kombucha in here for the next 4.5 gallons. So now I'm shredding our crystallized ginger that we also got from Whole Foods. It really does not matter where you get it. The best place to get it is the place that doesn't cost you the most money. Now I'm using my handy dandy Pampered Chef microplane shredder. By Pampered Chef! I hate being sticky. That's the one downfall to brewing kombuchas. It's sticky. So now I've got this gingery paste that I'm going to use inside of my Grouch bottles, and I'm going to make probably just a straight ginger and lemon kombucha. That'll be the flavor. We'll see how it goes. Super important to keep your hands clean when you're doing kombucha, just so you don't cross-contaminate anything. And it's really important also to make sure that your hands are free of soap residue, just so that you don't eat soap, and so that your SCOBYs, when they're in the bottles, so that they're not eating soap either. If you do, you will get sick. I promise that. I've been there and done that already. Plastic is the only way to go when you're brewing kombucha. I don't know why. No explanation other than the person that gave me my SCOBY said, don't use metal spoons. So I'm listening, and that's just what I'm doing. So this is what I do on every one of my kombucha lids. It's just a cheap old coffee filter. I write the date, and then I write the type of tea that I used and where I got the tea from. So this one was due actually on April 2nd. Then I got it at DeKalb Farmers Market in Atlanta, Georgia. So there you go. Just to keep good notes and know where I got it from in case the batch turned out really good. You want to come and look at this guy? This is okay, right here. It's just a yeast culture. I don't know if you can see it there. It looks pretty gross, but it's fine. It's not mold. So what you're looking for mainly is on top of the SCOBY, you're looking to see if there's what looks like bread mold will form on top. And if it smells gross. Look at that. It looks like a booger. It's so gross. Alright, so then what I do is I take this jar, the big one, and I think you're supposed to add 16 ounces. I just add enough. Oof, this one's tart. So then add all that, and I let it sit. And because it has to sit on the counter in my kitchen, that's what the lid is for, just to keep it covered and safe from any contamination. Keep it covered. It'll also, the lid is not sealed, so it'll breathe when it starts eating the sugars in there and produce some gas. Oh, it smells delicious. A little piece of oolong floating in there too. Alright, so now the bottling process. This is a homemade bottle drying rack that I used from an old cooling rack. Done. So I take your Grouch, G-R-O-L-S-C-H, however you want to say it. I'm saying Grouch because it's my house and my rules. So then you take your little stoppers. I take all the stoppers off just to wash underneath them and make sure that nothing stays on them. I read somewhere that you can reuse them only a couple of times. I reused them way more than a couple. So, good luck on that. So you put it on. Alright, this is where the fun part begins. So, we're going to take our ginger paste. We should probably use a spoon now. Oh, it's so good. Alright. So, spoon a little bit in there. A little more. There we go. And then, I don't actually strain my kombucha. You can. And I bought these sweet little strainers at Walmart for like $1.50. And they're plastic as well, so that you don't contaminate your kombucha with metal or anything like that. They're just super cheap. Made by Imusa, I think is the company. I think Great Value sells them now as well. I stopped straining mine because I think that when you strain it into the bowl the second time, you lose a lot of the fermentation. You lose a lot of the bubbles. And I like the bubbles, and sugar content is not a big deal for me, hence adding extra sugar to the second time. So now, you very gingerly add your kombucha. Wipe the top off so you get a good seal. Place your bottle top on there. Just like that. This one's good to go. So now what I would do is I would mark this one as ginger, and then I would write the date on it. Do I have a big cup? And then I would stick it in the closet for 4 days. Just because it seems to be the best amount of time to do one. You can actually, I don't know if you can see, but there's tons and tons of bubbles on the side already. I've changed to cranberry lemonade, which I purchased at the Whole Foods, also known as the whole paycheck in our house, because you can hardly get away without spending your whole paycheck. So just a little bit. The rule of thumb is 10%. For the way that I brew, I do 10% juice or 10% alternative liquid, preferably with sugar in it. And then I pour my extra fermented kombucha in there. I also grew up in the South, so I feel like anyone that sees me doing this is going to think that it's a travesty. But it's not. It turns out good. It's full of probiotics and my body loves it. First gallon. Now I'm moving on to the second one. So what I'll do is I'll pop the top off here. And at this point, I also started boiling 3 separate pots for my sugar water for my sweet tea, which is the base of all kombuchas. Oh, I can't get this one out. The whole time. Oh. So someone just tried to break into our apartment. Fascinating living here in Minnesota. All the vagrants and random people, especially in springtime. It's like they come out of the woodwork. I hate spilling it. Anyways, 3 pots going. So the way that I make sweet tea is I boil water, doesn't matter the amount, and then I add a cup of sugar. Some people add 2 cups. Really doesn't matter a whole lot how much sugar. If you're really looking for sour and low sugar kombucha, you can add half a cup or even a little less. But I do just use cheap old white sugar. I don't think that there's any difference, GMO, no GMO. I don't really think it matters. And honestly, I think that my scobies grow better with cheap $6 for 10 pounds sugar. Yep. So what I'll do is I'll boil the water, and then I have this really awesome, fresh, loose leaf oolong tea. So I've got just enough here to do the 3 extra gallons here. I'm not sure what I'll do for the 4th. So now we've got our 3 pots going. The idea is that you wait until it's a rolling boil in the pot before you add your sugar. Again, just cheap sugar. It really doesn't matter. The SCOBY isn't picky. If your belly's picky, then you should stop being so picky. Anyways, so add 2 cups of sugar, and then turn the heat off, and then add your oolong tea or whatever. I use oolong just because I read somewhere that that's a great balance of green tea and black tea. Okay, so this is the collection. I actually have a tiny bit left in the bottom of that. I'll just drink it. It'll be fine. It's usually pretty tasty. Then I have what here is what some people call a SCOBY farm or a SCOBY motel. So I'll just add sugar or really strong tea to this, and then just add SCOBYs. So they stay alive and they stay munching on tea, but I don't have any more jars or any more bottles to put them in. So yeah, this is the collection, and most of them are ginger. This one I corked. I just used an old wine bottle and bought some corks. I don't know if you can see them right there. But we live down the street from a homebrew liquor store, so that's pretty fun. And then this one is lemon ginger, and I recorked this one. But I put wax on the top of the corks just because I feel like it makes a better airtight seal for when they're actually fermenting and creating the bubbles on the inside. But yeah, that's the story. We've got our tea here, which we'll leave overnight, and we'll come back to that tomorrow afternoon and pour that into our big jars with our SCOBYs that are in the fridge here. Just chilling out, not really doing much. And when you put them in the fridge, it slows down the process. So what I'm going to do with all of these is I'll stick them into my closet and let them sit for about 4 days. And then they'll be good to drink. I like it cold, so I'll put them in the fridge and then be done with it. And that's Kombucha Second Ferment 101.